Hello, everyone. I'm City of Las Vegas Communications Director David Riggleman. Thanks so much for joining us for Access City Council. Coming up on this show, Las Vegas Boulevard construction is wrapping up. Hallelujah.
Woo.
And the Huntridge Theater is seeing new life. Here to talk about these topics and a whole lot more is the councilwoman who represents Ward 3. You know who it is, Olivia Diaz. Welcome back. How are you?
I'm great. How are you,
I'm doing very well. Spring is finally getting here. It's taken a while.
Easter, and now the weather's getting nicer. The days are getting longer. We feel we can do more things for our community.
And you are doing a lot. We're going to talk a lot. You have a bunch of events coming up. So, folks, if you're interested in knowing what's going on in Ward 3, some of those events, please stay with us because we're going to tell you all about those. In the meantime, you were born and raised in Ward 3. You know it like the back of your hand. For those out there not exactly sure where Ward 3 is located, well, we're going to show you right there on the map. It's the area in the east side of our city. If you live in that area or work in that area, of course, you are in the city limits of the city of Las Vegas. And if you're a resident there, you are represented on the city council by Olivia Diaz. And you're always busy. You have a million things going on.
Oh, we're a get it done kind of city.
You are. And you're a get it done kind of councilwoman too. So one of the things that I know you're heartbroken about is that the construction on Las Vegas Boulevard is finally coming to an end. I say that very facetiously.
Yes, no, we are so excited and ecstatic that the cones will go away and the disruption to any traffic flow or patterns will go back to normal, especially for our businesses, right? We know that business is hard when you have so much to work around. And, you know, I'm just so proud, though, that I think we realize as a city that we need to maintain our roadways and our infrastructure top notch. And this was a project that was long overdue. It required $125 million of city dollars and resources to make it happen. And along the way, as we were uncovering what was underneath those old roadways, we found things that needed some needed TLC and upgrades. So we found storm drains that dated back to the 50s. Wow. We found sewer that was back to the 40s. And so I want people to realize that when we're in the roadways, we're not just tearing it up to make the roads nicer or the sidewalks wider, which was all part of our plan too. We want to make sure that from Sahara to Stewart, we have way more walkable Las Vegas boulevards, but we also want to make sure that we're ready and we're equipped with everything, burgeoning businesses and maybe potential growth will require of us, and that is sewer lines and making sure
water
everything
lines,
else
all the infrastructure,
is up to date.
Interestingly, too, that was the largest road project in the city's history. As Councilwoman said, $125 million in investment. It seemed to go on forever, but it's wrapping up. We're almost done.
And some of those traffic signals were from the 60s as well.
Yeah,
so everything
really
got
old.
updated and upgraded, and I know that our medians are going to get some really awesome things.
They are. They're going to see people, if you're into the old vintage neon signs, that corridor of Las Vegas Boulevard, as Councilwoman said, from Sahara down to Stewart's going to have some really great classic signs that have been restored. We've been working with the Neon Museum along those lines to get that done.
And we're happy also that we were able to get our arches that basically let people know they're coming into our fabulous city of Las Vegas from Sahara heading north on Las Vegas Boulevard. Now we have that observation deck that you can actually snap the perfect selfie, Instagram moment, TikTok video, whatever you're working on.
And do it safely.
And do it safely out of the roadway where you and everyone else that's in the adjacency can stay well, right?
Yeah.
We don't want any casualties.
Exactly right. You can get up right on that little platform there and get the perfect picture. In the past, Councilwoman, as you well know, people were stepping out into Las Vegas Boulevard to try to get the shot before we had built that. So
never safe.
Yeah, never safe. Please don't do that. You'll get a great shot from the platform now, the observation platform.
So everything's kind of tying in nicely, and I think that everyone will be celebrating that we will be out of their neck of the woods for a really long time. And I know that we're aspiring to make sure that that area remains clear of any obstructions, at least for the next couple of years.
That's
I know
right.
we're working hard on that.
You know, Councilwoman, some things that were even done thinking into the future, conduit was placed so that if we need to run fiber optic cable or whatever through that area, we won't have to cut into the street or into the sidewalks.
Yeah, we put extra just tubes in there just to make sure that if anybody needed for some reason to stick something that was lacking, to make sure that we were connected or had the ability to upgrade or upskill something that we could. So we're thinking ahead.
Exactly, so that we won't have to tear it up again, to your point. Yeah. So.
Because everything, I think a lot of people see the orange cones, David, and they automatically assume it's the city that's terrorizing the neighborhood. But
we're just one of others.
It's utility companies sometimes, it's communication companies. So it could be Nevada Energy, it could be the Water Authority, it could be Southwest Gas, it could be any of the telecom companies that give us connectivity. All of them are encompassed in. So when you see cones, don't just say, oh, the city. We are the means by which they get a permit to do the work, but there's so many kinds of work that have to happen to keep everybody updated. Because a lot of older neighborhoods, which I have a good share of, have older facilities. And so sometimes Nevada Energy has to go and upgrade their equipment to provide service. So it needs to happen. We need to stay on point before something happens and then we lose it and then we're out longer because we didn't plan or we didn't update in time.
Exactly, and that's one of the reasons this project took so long, because as Councilwoman was saying, they didn't just go in and improve the streets or the sidewalks, but all that infrastructure under the road was updated. And we're talking stuff, as you mentioned, it went clear back to the 1940s, some of it. So yeah, that's pretty old. And you don't want a sewer line from the 40s to fail.
No,
no.
And we're building capacity as we go under too. So, you know, when all of that got built, there were so many people who lived and so many businesses that needed. But we're growing, and that's a really cool problem to have. And so we've augmented the capacity at the same time.
Speaking of businesses, I love this. You posted this on Facebook. You said, congratulations to Letty's Cosina for being featured on Guy Fieri's Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives on the Food Network. That's a big deal.
That's a big accomplishment. Letty's was, I don't know how many of you know that she's where the old Sombrero Cafe used to be.
Yeah, it's a great place.
She's now taken that and made it a Letty's. And I'm looking forward. She's going to be expanding, and it's going to be nicer amenities and other offerings that she's going to be able to do. But I've heard from so many residents that they're so excited that she is there and that they go get great Mexican food when they're craving it. So good job. Congratulations. That's a big feat to make it on the Food Network of so many other eateries.
On Guy's show? Exactly. You know, if you make it onto that show, you must be doing something right, because it's not going to, he never gets on there and says, oh, this is awful.
Correct.
So
that's a big deal.
Exactly. So congratulations to Letty's, and thanks, Guy, for featuring her. That's awesome, and we appreciate that.
And giving Vegas a plug.
Yeah, we really appreciate that.
Our fabulous city.
Exactly. And the Councilwoman, as I mentioned at the top of the show, you have a lot of events coming up here, a whole slew. So let's dive in and talk about a few of these.
Yeah, absolutely. We love to
First one is you have a shredding event on April 22nd. Now, this show begins airing on the 20th, so we know some of you might see this after the fact, but we hope some of you see it before the event.
We hope you catch it right before so that you can put it on your calendar. We're also blasting it on our social media channels, so come on out. It's perfect time as tax day is looming. And we got to get all of our tax filings into the IRS, but it's also a perfect time to kind of evaluate, do I really need to keep these documents?
Get rid of the old ones. Yeah, get rid of the old ones.
How long have I had them?
The bank statements, get rid of that stuff.
And the best way is to shred them. And we take the boxes. Just make sure it's just documents in the boxes. We recently had a little incident with another council member who
had a little bit of everything in there, including
a lithium battery.
Yes, and an iPhone, an old iPhone in there. So we don't want to shred those.
Yeah, no. So no electronics, please. Just papers. We'll take papers happily, up to 5 boxes per person who comes through. The document shredding will be happening on Earth Day. That's a great tie-in also to make sure that we're disposing of documents in the most eco-friendly way, because these will not make it out and won't be blowing all over.
Right.
And then we have medication turn-in and disposal also at Clark High School on the same day, but we'll have extended hours for that from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We'll be taking all meds that you no longer need and dispose of them safely. The best way is to give them to us so that then our marshals take care of them the right way.
Yeah, that it doesn't end up in our water supply or getting into the ground anywhere and causing
or in
a
the
problem.
wrong hands.
Yeah, into the wrong hands. That's even worse. So, also too, Councilwoman, you bring up a good point on the shredding items, folks. If you bring the documents, if you could remove. The clips, paper clips, staples are okay. Those are perfectly fine. But anything large that's holding
thick or bulky, that needs to kind of come off.
Yeah, exactly. Because the shredders, it's for paper, and
we want to keep them sharp for all of the cars to come and take advantage of this amazing free service. That I know I have a shredder, David.
Yeah,
but
it's
it
like
makes it so slow.
Exactly, and it puts it in little strips, and you could probably fit those together. This Councilwoman. It pulverizes that paper. It's like confetti when it's done. There's no way anyone could put that together.
You put it into like a trash bin, and then the trash bin will be diamond cut, and so there's no way anybody can get to your stuff. And it's kind of done in the moment that you're driving through, so you don't need to feel concerned that we're not going to do it at the same time you're driving through.
Exactly right. Exactly. Nothing to worry about. And then, Councilwoman, this is wonderful. We have an event coming up, the Day of the Child, or Dia del Niño, April 29th. Tell us about that.
So we're celebrating it a little early. It's usually the very last day of April 30th, that we celebrate Dia del Niño, but we know that on Sundays it's harder for people, and we're taking advantage of also a soccer tournament that will be in town at the mini pitch courts that were just unveiled about a year ago. So we want to do a 2-for-1, so there will be that soccer tournament happening, but then on the 29th our office is co-sponsoring this Dia del Niño event, and to top it off with a cherry, we're going to be seeing Encanto once it becomes dark. So I love my son. I asked him what is his favorite movies of all time. It's up there. It's probably
it's a good movie.
Top
it really
3.
is. It's a really good movie. And again, everyone, you mentioned the soccer tournament. Let's talk about that too. This is pretty cool. Gary Reese Freedom Park.
Yes.
April 29 and 30.
The 29th and 30th, they'll be at the mini pitch courts that are adjacent to the basketball courts there at Gary Reese Freedom Park. And if you want any more information about the tournament, you can call 229-5428, and we will give you that information about it. But it's going to be very dynamic, and we know those courts are for faster paced
really fast
soccer, so it's kind of cool to go out there and watch.
It's fun to watch. It moves really quick, and you got to have fast feet to play that game. That is absolutely the case. So again, that's the 28th through 30th. And then, Councilwoman, coming up, big holiday, Cinco de Mayo, right around the corner.
East Las Vegas Community Center. We have lots of partners in this event, so I hope that you have the opportunity to come on down and actually celebrate it on the 5th with us as a community. There's lots of freebies being offered from 4 to 9, but there will also be other things that you can purchase, also like food that's authentic and from the region. And so this festivity comes from Puebla, Mexico, and that's the Mexican Federation that we're partnering, that will be bringing an art display also, I believe, from Mexico. And folks from Puebla will be in attendance. So
it's to commemorate the Battle of Puebla, right?
Yes.
Which was a victory for Mexico.
A major victory.
Exactly. So coming up, Cinco de Mayo, May 5th. That's a big event. We have a great time at that. And last but not least, Councilwoman, this is really huge. May 19th. Tell us about pickleball.
So Myron Levitt JC Park is actually getting 4 new pickleball courts. And we know this is a very dynamic and fun sport that so many community members are gravitating towards. So we just wanted to make sure that as I was doing my park inventories and I was walking through some of them, I identified where the old shuffleboard courts used to be, and I asked our staff, how often are these being activated? Because they look very pristine and very unused.
Kind of going out of style.
And so they told me they're not being used very much, Councilwoman. So we figured that why not take the space and create a pickleball court for Myron Levitt JC Park. So the first 4 pickleball courts that I have, I know that other wards have more of an offering, but at least hopefully we'll get the community introduced to this, and hopefully if they take off and there's clamoring for more, we'll have to look at that down the road.
Councilwoman, pickleball is the fastest growing sport in America right now.
It is.
And millions of people are playing it.
I was shocked to see like Agassi, who's homegrown in Las Vegas, is now kind of delving into it, and Andy Roderick and McEnroe. So it was interesting to see like
the old tennis stars are playing pickleball
People
now.
I saw playing tennis when I was growing up, now playing pickleball.
So, see,
it's kind of cool.
You don't have to run as much. The court's not as large. It's fast-paced, very quick.
Very quick.
And very social, too. There's a lot of camaraderie that goes on, you know. It's kind of a big community.
2 versus 2.
Yeah, yeah. So, May 19th, folks, come out, check out the new pickleball courts. And we'll talk about that on your next show, too, so we can show everybody the
But we want everyone to save the date and come join us, because it'll be fun.
It'll be a lot of fun. Councilwoman, we have a very special guest, so we need to take a short break. But when we return, we have that special guest who'll be joining us to talk about plans for the Huntridge Theater and other projects. We'll explain all of that right after this, so please stay with us.
¿Qué tan preparada estaría tu familia de un incendio forestal llamar a tu puerta? ¿O una inundación? ¿O un temblor? No puedes desaparecer un desastre natural. Por eso es importante ir ahora a listo.gov. Tiene las herramientas y consejos que necesitas para hacer un plan de emergencia con tu familia. Así que si el desastre llama, estarás listo para proteger a tu familia.
Ah, es solo la pizza. Sí.
Haz un plan hoy.
Welcome back, everyone. If you've been following any of the progress in downtown Las Vegas, especially involving the historic Huntridge Theater, then you're familiar with the name Jay Dapper. And in fact, Jay is our special guest today. Jay, thanks so much for being here. It's a pleasure to have you on the program. Councilwoman, I know, is thrilled because of all the change you're bringing to Ward 3.
It's positive change. It's amazing change. It's what the adjacent neighborhoods have been clamoring. They've been wanting to see the historic Huntridge Theater, which is an iconic and very, I think, memorable theater in our community. And I think everybody's been wanting to see it revived, and Jay is going to be the person who brings that to the community. I think everybody's ecstatic, and if you didn't go to the recent ceremony, like it's right here, but LVA was in attendance selling these amazing t-shirts, and Jay was so awesome to partner with Las Vegas Academy, which is right adjacent. But Jay, what has it meant to come all of this way? Because it hasn't been easy work to get to.
Everybody has an opinion on what you should be doing, right?
Everybody has an opinion for sure. Yeah, no, it's been a long road. I mean, I would say that I've been pursuing the theater for 10 years. Yeah. And so, you know, I've only just owned it just shy of 2 years, or we just hit the anniversary, so it's been 2 years. And it was a long process of getting to the point where I could buy it, settling all of the grievances that existed from the state and some of the past issues that the old ownership had. And then now finally being on the upswing, which is, you know, doing the new design and creating, you know, what's next.
Obviously, for Councilwoman, people that live in Ward 3, people who've been in Las Vegas many years, the Huntridge is iconic. But for those who are maybe new to the area that aren't familiar with the history of the theater, why it's a big deal, can you give us a little bit of background?
Sure. So, you know, I think people say this all the time, but we tear down all our buildings, and the Huntridge is not just a building, but it's a place that a lot of people, I think, have very fond memories. And it depends on what your vintage is, you know, depending on what your memory is. So my aunt was at the sign lighting event, and she was a ticket tearer at the Huntridge Theater when she used to go to Gorman. She was the first graduating class at Gorman, and she paid her way through Gorman with that job.
Wow. And it was a movie theater in those days, right?
It was a movie theater. Yeah. So her memories are of movie theaters. And I've got a lot of other friends that are, you know, a little bit older, and they tell me about all the premieres and things that they saw.
Being dropped off with 50 cents by their parents.
Even less than that. It was, I literally just heard a story that was like 10 cents or 15 cents. So I think that is something that's really special. And then also, you know, I remember as, you know, a 14, 15, 16-year-old being able to get dropped off down there and go to concerts, and in some cases sneaking away from my house and going to concerts there.
Jay, you did that really?
Yeah, I think we all did it.
We all did it.
Yeah, so that's why it's a special place, because everybody remembers all of these great memories.
Exactly.
And so it's not, the idea of just saving a building. It's saving all these memories and actually giving people the opportunity to go back and revisit those memories. This event that we had the other night was really special.
Let's talk about that. You relit the sign after all these. Councilwoman, you were out there. It was a big deal.
It was a big deal, and we had a huge turnout for the sign lighting.
Couple thousand
event.
people.
Couple thousand people.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was cool because there was a time when we didn't even believe that was possible.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, if you restore something, it's possible. But when we first started to talk about doing an open house, which is what we're doing in all of April, to kind of let people in the theater, and every single one of our tours, which we are having on Saturdays and Sundays, has been completely sold out. It's free, but they're all reserved. We said, we want to do something like special that's a little bit different to kick that off. And I remember when the idea of relighting the sign and the marquee came up, and I'm like, that's amazing, we have to do that. But then when we dug in and tried to figure out how does this actually happen after something's been out for 20 years, it was pretty tough.
Yeah, but you did it. You got it done.
With the help of Yesco and our electrician. I mean, really working for like 6 months on it.
To get it done.
Yeah.
Jay, I know you've talked about this, going through the historic theater. You've found all kinds of hidden gems that were left behind from various things. Tell us a little bit about that. I think you even brought something that
I did.
We'd like to see as well.
Yeah, so one of the things that I didn't expect is that, although we found things that were not hidden gems when we got in.
Yeah, some of it, not all.
I took a tour with Jay
I recall,
in the very beginning, and
it was in rough shape.
It was rough.
A lot of junk in there. That was true.
Lots of junk. So sifting through that junk, we found a lot of what I would call artifacts. So we found old projectors, some from the 40s, 50s, 60s, which all really cool. We're going to preserve all of those in various states of decay. Some of the things that we found, we had displayed in the lobby, and so we had a big television set that was of the right vintage, and we were actually playing the Beastie Boys show that took place in 2004. And then we had some of the marquee numbers and letters, and some of the other really cool artifacts that we found. But one of the things that we found that was like content related is we found a small cache of posters, concert posters from the 2004 Beastie Boys show. And I actually brought one today.
Yeah, you have to show it.
So this is, it was from the $2 bill tour.
Wow.
And
I recall that.
There was, I went to this show, and it was very, very hard to get one of these tickets, because at the time, I mean, they weren't really selling them. It was just kind of, they called it the $2 bill tour. And if you go online, you can watch, if you just search, Beastie Boys, Huntridge Theater, you can watch the entire concert.
No kidding.
And it's incredible to see how many people were there and what it felt like.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to highlight that history. I brought one of these for the Councilwoman. There's a very, very, very few of these.
Councilwoman, I like that.
I feel very special.
So I really hope it's in your office.
It is going to be in my office. I'm not taking this. Very far from here.
But it was cool, because as we've gone through and we've discovered more and more, I mean, we just recently found this kind of secret room in the back.
Really?
So there's a chimney at the Huntridge, and we couldn't figure out exactly why there was a chimney.
Why would there be a chimney?
Yeah, you think like somebody's got a fireplace in their office or something. But what we ended up discovering was there was a small room, and it housed the boiler. And today, you don't see boilers. But I guess in 1944, you did.
That's how you heated the place, right?
That's how you heated the place. And so it's really been hidden because it's in the what we call the letter room, where we found all the letters and numbers. But it was behind this huge shelf. And so when we kind of looked behind that, and we've only found it in the last couple of weeks.
Wow.
The boiler is still there, and it looks like something from 1944.
Oh my gosh.
So we're going to extract that out. We're going to restore it, and it's going to be one of the things that we display.
Jay, so this is all really cool stuff. So
really
what's
cool.
next? What comes next for
everybody who's into historic preservation is geeking out right now with everything you're finding. But yeah, what lies ahead? You did mention in your comments there's still more work to be done.
Yeah,
You
for
still
sure.
have
Exactly.
to go through a significant process because retaining something historic has its own layers and
Sure.
complexity. So I don't want to spoil it. You can share.
Yeah, well,
What you can. What you can. Sure,
Yeah, no, we can share. So, I mean, we've hit some major milestones, which, the first was signing a lease with Soho Playhouse.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to operate the theater,
Wow.
and part of them operating the theater was, convincing them to come to the Huntridge. And I loved what they do in New York, but what they are going to do here in Las Vegas is going to be
Wow.
a little bit different, a little bit
exciting.
expanded. So, in addition to renovating the existing theater, we're building 2 other smaller theaters at the back of the building.
Wow.
One is a black box theater, which is approximately 199 seats, and then the other is a cabaret theater.
Wow.
Having multiple venues there will allow us to have a lot more flexibility and hopefully have 365-day-a-year activation.
Wow.
And let me tell you, there's so many local theater companies that need
Yeah.
that black box theater
Sure.
space as well. So right now they're struggling
They
because
can't find a place.
they establish a place, then that place gets hot and they want to convert it into something that's not a theater, and then they're out of space. So I'm
sure.
really relieved to hear that.
Yeah, and we're hearing, LVA has, given us an idea of some things they're lacking. We're talking about incorporating some of those things into, our project so that we can make those available for the community, which I think would be
Exciting.
great. And that's, part of what this renovation and ultimate, reactivation is all about is the Huntridge has always been a place for our community, although, there's going to be tourists that are going to come there,
Sure.
depending on what the show is. The idea is really to kind of bring it back to the community and make it a place that, the people in the neighborhood and the people who love downtown, have the ability to be all the time.
And bring it back to its glory days, because that's what it was back in the day.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then, so what's next? So now that the lease is signed with Soho Playhouse, because it's on the National Historic Register, we're learning how to navigate that process. It's a little bit more difficult than your average entitlements and permits. And so what we're going to be doing is over the next 12 months, we're going to be getting entitlements and permits, which include all the approvals that we'll get from the federal government, from the National Historic Register. And then we'll also be dealing with the city's Historic Preservation Commission to seek those approvals. And then hopefully in about 12 months, we'll be, shovel ready, and we'll be ready to start construction. And then that process will take another 12 months.
It's exciting. Jay, that's perfect timing because we're just about out of time here. This discussion could go on. I'd love to hear more, but unfortunately, we're just about out of time. But we want to thank you so much for being with us on the program. This is so exciting. I know, Councilwoman, this is something that is, great pride for you and for the whole community. But we want to tell everybody out there, we always want to hear from you. If there's something you'd like to share with Councilwoman Diaz, you can find her on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also contact her by picking up the phone, 702-229-4623, or send her an email. Her address is odiaz@lasvegasnevada.gov, and she or one of her great staff will get right back to you. So, Jay Dapper, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks
Best
for
of luck
having
to
me.
you.
Yeah.
And we'll have to have him back in the future with an update. It's exciting
absolutely.
stuff. And I'll have you back in 6 weeks with
Especially
another
with
update.
the cafe you have going on across the street. That's coming up
Winnie and
soon.
Ethel's. That's going to be the next one.
And we have some big winners on that. That's exciting.
Winnie
too,
and
yeah.
Ethel's is next, and then Starlight Roller Rink, which is going to be in the same shopping center.
Nothing going on in Ward 3 with Jay, So
Jay's got
it's good
everything
stuff.
lit over there.
All right. Well, thank you both so much. Really appreciate you being here. And don't miss our next show, everyone, beginning on April 27th with Councilwoman Frances Allen Polensky. You can catch all of our KCLV shows now on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire. Also, watch for our QR code at the end of this show to subscribe to our newsletter. And don't forget, you can watch us live on the internet at kclv.tv. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you next time around.